Hey, now that the cat's out of the bag with 4 pencil drawings on the Fuji rumors, I thought that now that the cat's out of the bag on a couple of details on the X-PRO3, I thought I'd set the record straight. And I'll put a link to his site. You could actually take a look at the hybrid type of new LCD display for the Fujifilm X-PRO3 on his website, but he's mistaken in not telling you very important details. And I read like 150 comments below, and a lot of people, they just, actually nobody got it. Absolutely nobody got it. And I kept realizing, like, someone's going to get this, someone's going to get it, and nobody got it. The type of LCD display, and I'm going to set the record straight, we're going to have to be talking about physical dimensions of camera design, and then we're going to talk about why Fujifilm went with this very interesting display. Okay, so the LCD display is black. You actually have to flip it down off the back of the camera, and the display is on the inside. And of course, it'll tilt down and let you get down low for those low shots or up high for those high shots. But if there's not an LCD on the back of the display, except for right in the dead center. And I'm going to explain to you why Fujifilm, and I give you an example with an old Fujifilm camera, why Fujifilm did this. But first we have to understand what the hell the X-PRO2 and X-PRO3 camera are. And I have an X-PRO2. It's my back room back there. The X-PRO2, X-PRO3 are street sweeper cameras. Yeah, you can use them for anything, obviously so, but they're meant to be a semi-stealthy digital rangefinder camera. If you're familiar with the X-PRO2 camera, the X-PRO3 looks basically the same, except for this very, very interesting new LCD display. And people was like, well, why did Fujifilm do this? You actually have to flip the LCD down off the back of the camera to look at it. And there's 4 reasons for that. First off, it's a film info slot cover, and I'm going to give you an example of that in just a second. You're going to know what it is and why Fujifilm did it. The back of the LCD display, not flipping it down, right in the dead center, there is a little square with information identical to that on the top of the XH1, right? So the top display on the XH1 or the top display on the GFX 50S is dead center right in the back of the LCD display, which is facing inward on the camera. So you'll see all the programmable and customizable information. Isn't that neat? And the reason why Fujifilm did that, I'll show you in just a second. And you'll be like, oh wow, that makes perfect sense. Secondly, there's something that you can't do to keep the form factor of the X-PRO3 identical. Okay, you see this, people are like, why don't they stick an articulating screen on it like the X-PRO3? Well, you see this is an X-PRO3. You see that metal bracket underneath there? You can't physically stick something. It is not doable, girlfriend. You can't stick something like this on the back of the X-PRO3. It can't be done. Not only that, there's a flexi cable in here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that feeds that. It can't be done. It makes it too thick. It would stick out like a wart on an elephant, like a gigantic. It's impossible. It would make the camera look hideous. Everybody would be like, why is this LCD sticking way the hell back off the back of the camera? So it can't be done. This particular type of display is a dual display. The LCD is on the inside and the display in the dead center, which is much smaller, basically the same size as on the XH1 top display, right? The little top display on the XH1, ingenious. So it's a dual display. It keeps it the same profile, right? Now, the reason why Fujifilm did this is, if you remember back in the days of film, okay? You remember on the old film cameras, yeah? There was a little slot that you could, what it was meant to do is you take your 35mm film and rip the cover off, and it would tell you what the make of the film was and the ISO, and you would slide it in there as a reminder, because you could put your camera away and you forget what damn film is in this camera, and you just look on the back as you rip the cover off. And Fujifilm used to do that too. This is their 645 film camera. Yeah, you see this camera right here? Now let's take a look at the back of that camera, and this looks exactly like, well, essentially, yeah, you see this little slot right here on the back of the camera? That's where you would rip off a little paper tab off of your film roll, yeah? And you'd slide it in there to tell you what damn film you're using, yeah? Because a lot of people back then didn't use all the film up instantly, so you would forget when you'd pick the camera back up. So it's ingenious. Just think about it for a damn second. It's ingenious. It has a retro premise from Fujifilm's own damn camera, by the way, but also Nikon did that as well. Here's one on a Nikon. Now, someone inserted a stamp in the back, but this is the back of an old Nikon film camera. A lot of camera companies. So it's the retro look and vibe, which the X-PRO2 and X-PRO3 have always kind of gone for, but it's a digital retro. So you've got a top EVF display, top LCD display. You know, the dot matrix ink display on the top of the XH1, except it's right in the dead center of the back of the LCD. Like I said, the LCD is going to be facing inward towards the back of the camera. So if you're looking at the camera with the LCD closed, you're going to have an EVF on the back of the LCD display. Brilliant! So it's a dual display. Yeah? Well, why not face it outwards? Well, that wouldn't... Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. It actually protects the EVF. The reason for that is actually physical constraint. Because this LCD display is so thin, yeah, I know about the flexibility of those displays. If you actually have it tilted out, you're going to be using it specifically. But if you actually have that LCD display out, not only did it accrue fingerprints, the most important thing is that you could actually press on it, and they're slightly fragile. Now, Fujifilm might have some Gorilla Glass on this and be less fragile, but because it's so thin, it's relatively fragile. Yeah, so there's actually, you know, intelligent reason why the actual LCD will be facing inward, and also, too, that would be the only way that you would get a dual display. Ingenious. So you have a top display on the back and the actual LCD on the inside. People are like, well, I can't chimp. The X-PRO2 and the X-PRO3 line are not meant to be chimping off the LCD cameras. If you want to review your image, there's this neat little thing on the back of the X-PRO2 and the X-PRO3. It's called a EVF, called a viewfinder. Yeah, hit the playback button and chimp off the inside there. Yeah, it makes sense. So, perfectly stealthy all-black street camera, which the X-PRO3 and X-PRO2 line are meant to be. Yeah? People are like, what about for video? Well, it's obviously going to have video capabilities. Who knows, somewhere along the line of the X-T3. It's not a video-centric camera. Anybody who knows about the X-PRO2, X-PRO3 line knows they're not video-centric. Although I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really powerful video features in there. That doesn't mean, the GFX has a lot of powerful video in there, but nobody is confused that a GFX medium format camera is primarily a video camera. As much as Fujifilm would, like for you to believe that. And it does have amazing video, by the way. Wow. I can say that firsthand since I tested same, and I'm still waiting for mine. I should have it within the next 10 days. So it's a digital rangefinder. It's not meant to be an LCD chimping camera. We'll look at the images and preview them, either look into the EVF or tilt the LCD display out. So it's a perfect stealthy design, and the guy that runs Fuji Rumors is no detraction to him. He doesn't understand what that is. I mean, that's brilliant, because you can't stick a top display like you find on the XH1 there's no room for that on the X-PRO3 or X-PRO2 for that matter. The X-PRO3, same form factor essentially as the X-PRO2. There's nowhere to stick that damn top display. Oh, wait a minute. If we use this ingenious new LCD display, face it inwards, we could actually have that in the backside, and it will have a retro design throwback to an enormous amount of film cameras, including Fujifilm's own. Yeah, you see it? There. Whoops, there it is. Whoops. There we go. I'll eventually hit it there. You see that? You gonna see how that even kind of looks like an X-PRO2, X-PRO3? Yeah, that's Fujifilm's medium format film camera. Yeah, you see that? If you kind of squint your eyes, you see how it looks like an X-PRO2. You see that right there? Yeah, that's so it's gonna be state of the art, and it's really very, very ingenious. And nobody got this. I thought someone's gonna get this, but nobody got it. I read all the comments on his page, which is okay, but it's like, why did I get it? I know, but that's what it is. So it is ingenious. LCD display with a true LCD display inside facing the camera, and then a top display on the back center of the camera, which is retro design after this. Yeah, ingenious. And like I said, you can't stick an articulating screen also on the back of that camera. Well, why not? Because it's not physically possible. It would make the camera look like it had a giant ass wart growing off the back of the camera. Everybody would be like, why is this display stick out of the back of my X-PRO3? It's stupid design. It's stupid. So, anyway, and this new type of display that Fujifilm prototyped to one of their cameras, and he actually has a picture of that on his site, is very thin. I don't know if they're using Gorilla Glass over top of the LCD display or not. I mean, I have no idea, but I would assume that would be the case, but I'm only speculating on that part. But yeah, so kudos to Fujifilm on that. That's an ingenious design and aesthetic detail. It serves dual purpose. It is a throwback homage to old film cameras, including Fujifilm's old film cameras, and yet it is also a digital perfect integration into the case. Like, well, that's great. I could look at the back, and I have a top display on the back of my X-PRO3 with all the information that you could customize, just like you could customize the top display of an XH1 and GFX 50S. There we go. Peace out, Girl Scout.